This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, and host of an uber-popular podcast these days, is my co-host as we answer your questions about your life, your money, your marriage, your kids, your money, your career. Did I mention your money? We'll talk about you wherever you want to be talked about, right in front of you.
Hey, if you call...
We won't do it behind your back.
Nope.
If you call, we'll do it right in front of you.
That's right.
The phone number is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. And, John, it's kind of embarrassing. I was walking. I do a 1.5 mile walk to a 3 mile to a 5 mile run, depending on the weather. The weather sucked this morning, so I did a 1.5 mile walk in the rain. I'm listening to your podcast, walking through my neighborhood in the dark this morning, laughing out loud. I was laughing at your response to those guys. It was absolutely chuckle down. I mean, it was classic John Deloney.
Yeah.
But it was just fun. The podcast is really, really good.
I appreciate that.
Dr. John Deloney, you can listen to him everywhere. Great podcasts are listened to, from Spotify to Apple to Google Play to Pandora, anything you want. We got it. We're everywhere, by gosh. It's that easy. And Dr. John and Rachel Cruz will be doing an event this coming Friday night for Valentine's Day, a money and marriage event. And one thing is assured, if it is John and Rachel, there will be a lot of content covered, but it will always be side-splitting funny also. These two are trouble, but when you get them together, they're double trouble. It's going to be a blast.
We were just running through the blocking and the rehearsal part, and I did not know this, Dave, but we've got screens all throughout our building. I didn't know they were sending those signals all through the building.
Watching you rehearse?
Yes. Listen, everybody, everything you do is being recorded. Just remember it. Yeah. Yes, but we were laughing. We're going to have a blast, man. It's going to be a good time.
All microphones are on.
All microphones are on. But no, it's going to be a blast, man.
Career-ending things happen when you don't remember that.
Oh, man.
February 12th at 7 p.m. It's $30 is all. The money and marriage event for just in time for Valentine's Day. And the two biggest things that most people in America right now are facing: money issues, marriage issues, and they always overlap, intermingle, and so forth. February 12th, this coming Friday night, 7 p.m. Phone again. Just go to DaveRamsey.com/events, and you can get everything you need there. Get you started, and you'll have a blast. Phone number here is 888-825-5225. Duncan is with us in Johnson City. Hey, Duncan, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Great, man. How can we help?
Well, I was just wondering, should I sell one of my vehicles or keep it and continue with what I want to do to it? So, little backstory. I am 19. I live with my parents. I have a full-time job, and I make about $1,500 to $1,800 a month. I own 2 vehicles, all paid for. And I have about $4,200 in the savings account. And I was wondering, should I
How much debt?
continue putting? I have 0 debt.
What are the cars? What are they worth?
Nothing.
You want them a project car or something?
Yes. One of them is worth $2,800, and the other one is worth $4,000.
Why? Tell me about it. Why do we have 2? You're working on one's a project, I guess.
Well, both of them are running, and I do drive both of them regularly. And
okay, then tell me why you have 2 cars.
Well, one of them I need because I need to pull a trailer, and one of them also helps me make more money on the side.
The same car.
The other one.
So what are you pulling? What kind of trailer are you pulling?
12-foot utility trailer.
What's your side gig?
Handyman yard work.
Okay, good for you. So you got the one of them's a pickup?
Yes, sir. A 2004.
Okay, what's the other one?
A 1997 Toyota 4Runner. And my question is about the 4Runner.
Yeah.
I bought it over a year ago, and since then I've put about $1,200 in parts in it. And I want to drive it to Alaska in the next 16 months. And I'm just wondering, would it be financially wise to sell it and save up more money and buy what I want, or just build this thing into what I want it to be?
Build it into what you want it to be. What does that mean?
Make it...
Talking about getting big tires on it and jacking it up and redoing all the interior and all that.
Well, making sure it will making sure it'll survive the drive up there.
Okay,
And
why don't you rent something to drive up there? It'd be cheaper.
I haven't thought about that.
So, Duncan, this is in my family. My wife and I drive old cars, and whenever we go on a long trip, we rent a really nice car.
Might have trouble doing that at 19. They usually want to be 21.
That's true. But yeah, that's how I get around, man, and don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I just, it sounds like you've got two very specific things. You listen, neither one of these cars are going to cause you to not be a millionaire when you're 39.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing here that's on the stupid zone. It's just, you ask, so I'm trying to kind of think through it with you, Duncan. But so if you want to keep both of them and you want to work on it, as long as you're paying cash for it, you're okay. Okay, there's nothing here that's dying. There's nothing out of control. You can call me up making $20,000 a year with a $30,000 car, in which case I would have had to tell you to sell your car. But you're not violating any of that stuff, so you're fine. The only thought that ran through my mind is I would think there would be a vehicle that if you sold both of these and put the money together, that would be a nicer vehicle that would do both things.
A nicer truck, a newer truck that will pull your trailer, get you where you need to go,
and take you to Alaska.
That's right.
So if you got a $4,000 car and a $3,000 car, that'd be like a $7,000 car, right, roughly, give or take. And we got $4,200 in savings too, I think I heard. So you could actually get an $8,000 or a $9,000 car. I'm probably, because the difference in a $4,000 truck and a $10,000 truck is not double, it's quadruple.
That's right. It's 100,000 miles plus.
It's
right?
a lot of difference. Right. If you buy well, and it sounds like you know a little bit about cars and you're poking around on them. So it might be that you're trying to. That you've kind of diluted across too many things, and if you piled it up in one pile, you could get one thing that did everything well that would be a lot nicer and a lot better that you pay cash for and would still be there. I wouldn't ever go over 10 grand in your situation, but I think you could sell these two, put some money with it, and move up to the 8, 9, 10 grand range and really get in a much better vehicle. That's the only thing that ran through my head. But if you want to keep tinkering with this Highland or whatever it was and fix it up, I kept expecting to hear like a 67 Mustang, you're doing a retro frame-up restoration or something
not
here.
Not a lot of guys losing sleep over a 96 4Runner, but...
Yeah, not many. Like, I got to fix up my 4Runner. That doesn't come up much, but yeah.
There is a 4Runner gang. That's what I say.
Well, they'll come out now that we said this.
They are. Twitter's coming, baby.
I'm sure. Here they come. Here they come on Twitter.
We love you. We love you.
Yeah, hashtag hate Dave Ramsey. But yeah. But
you
anyway.
Have to get in line on that hashtag.
It's a long one. Long line. This is the Ramsey Show. What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. So apparently this is worth discussing.
Oh, great.
Because according to Twitter, it's the number one thing on Twitter right now. So I said on Fox News this morning that I don't believe in a stimulus check, because if you get $600 or $1,400 and it changes your life, you didn't have a life. You're already screwed.
Yeah.
And apparently that's news to people. It's like apparently I have upset and melted many snowflakes.
So the concern is what? That
$600 changes people's lives. I mean, honestly, I thought it was a fairly obvious thing. If $600 changes your life really sucks.
But I thought
you don't have a life. You're screwed.
I thought both sides have been upset about that amount.
Well,
right?
It's not enough.
Right. It's either not enough or why are we sending it, right?
Yeah, it's not enough, or you're not allowed to talk about not getting it because apparently it is freaking life-changing. And I just didn't know because I'm an elite boomer.
Huh.
I mean, it's... What asinine people are... I mean, some of you people have lost your dad-blame minds out there. If you really believe $600 is going to change your life, you're an idiot. Really. I mean, I've been broke, and I never even then thought $600 would change my life. Back when $600 was a lot of money.
It was $1 million, huh?
You know? I mean, really. I've been broke. I mean, would $600 help? Yeah, if you hand it to me, I'll take it.
Right.
But I'm not going to get it, obviously, because I don't meet the income qualifications, which I shouldn't get it. None of you should get it, but you're going to. Because the government is here to save the day. It's like a cartoon.
So
how Island of Misfit Toys up there, man.
How much of it is just that, Dave? Which it's a signal. Look how much we're helping.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's look at us. We're here to help. And my point is that they're lying to you. They're not really helping you.
Right.
If $600 or $1,400 completely changes your life, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You already had major structural crap in your life. You're struggling with mental illness. You're struggling with a career problem. You're struggling with a work ethic problem. You've got character issues. You've got, now he's shaming the poor. Which is the other thing. I mean, that's absolutely asinine. I'm not doing any of that. There's only one way that your life is, I mean, you could have tremendous health problems.
Right.
That would be it. It wouldn't be shaming anybody. It's just a mathematical arithmetic recognition that $600 is not much money.
Right. And we've talked about this a lot on this show, that how many households in America can't handle a $400
emergency? Nobody can. But again, that the point is that you're looking to the government to fix your life, and as long as you wait on Washington, D.C. to fix your life, you're going to suck. Your life is going to suck.
Yeah.
And that's not poor shaming.
No.
That's shaming stupidity. If you believe $600 is going to change your life, you're stupid. You should be ashamed.
And so give us what are people going to do right now and say, I don't want to be in a situation where $600 is going to turn things around for me.
Yeah. Well, you have to start doing the stuff that we teach.
Right.
And you say, okay, what am I going to do? I've got the stuff you deal with on your show, which is what I was thinking of when I said that. Sometimes I hear things on your show, people have mental health issues and things going on in their lives, and it prohibits them from making a good life until they get that fixed.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what you're saying.
And keeps them from making an income.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes they're on King Coleman's show and they don't have a career line going up and they're making no money. They're starving to death, and they really have got to rework their thoughts on their career and their job, and they need to make more money.
Right.
They need to work more. They need to work in a better place, a different place, whatever. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, I got to change things when they're not working, right? And by the way, you ought to do the Dave Ramsey baby steps, right? And save some money and get out of debt.
Because it's not if, it's when the next thing comes,
and get out of debt. But I mean, there's a whole package here called a wholeness look at life.
Yeah.
A holistic look at your life that says if $600 fixes your life, it doesn't.
Right.
It can't.
To me, it feels like a broader conversation about something happened, and we feel a right to not have bad things happen. In the world, the bad things are going to happen, and
that's called entitlement.
We immediately look to somebody to fix it.
The government.
Help.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To me, it's bigger than a dollar amount. It's an existential crisis. It's an existential issue, which is something happened. I'm not going to call on my neighbors. I'm not going to call on my local church. I'm not going to sit down with my – fix it, Dave. Does that make sense? That's the part that's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Well, and the problem is, and the fact that this is trending number one on Twitter is hilarious, but it's sad because what it indicates is not that Dave Ramsey's out of touch or not that I'm right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is that I dared to suggest that the government is not going to fix your life.
That's what I'm getting at. It's bigger than the dollar amount.
I dared to suggest that they can't fix your life.
Yeah.
That it's up to you to fix your life. And you're not going to have a good life as long as you wait on them to fix it.
Right.
I dared to suggest that, and so snowflakes are melting everywhere. They are going bananas. And because what I did was I basically said, your God is dead.
God being your reliance on the government solving your problem.
Yeah, your government is your God. It is your provider in your little existential screwed up head. And I just said, your God, the government, is dead. It cannot come through on its promises to change your life. The Democratic Party cannot come through on their promises to change your life. AOC is not going to change your life.
So,
and neither is the Republicans.
Right. Well, I want to encourage folks who are stuck right now.
Well, the thing is, if you recognize that your God is dead, that means you didn't have a God.
Okay.
And so it's encouraging to me, or it has the potential to be encouraging in my mind, that if you recognize who God really is, and it is the God of the universe, Abba, the great I am, and it is not the federal government. And he is your provider, and he gives you instructions that involve you dealing with you.
Yes.
And then he adds the rain and the sun after you do some planting.
Right. And when we have bad seasons,
and that's not poor shaming.
No, it's to me it's a community thing, man. You got to have people around you, Dave. And when we stumble and fall, you've got to plant. And there's some seasons when, like you mentioned, I got a health problem. That's when there's other people in your life that will help rally around you.
When I went bankrupt, it crushed me emotionally.
Yeah.
Spiritually.
Yep.
Certainly financially.
Yeah.
I got 2 little babies. My marriage is hanging on by a thread. I was broken. And I had people say, you did some stupid stuff. And you know what? They were right.
Yep.
And I didn't sit around and get mad at them for saying I did stupid stuff. I had to not do stupid stuff anymore that caused me to get there.
Right.
I set myself up for that.
Yep.
It was my fault. And then I had other people that came around and put their arm around me and said, you know what? I know you're hurting, and I'm here with you.
Yep.
And that and those are the people of God that do stuff like that. And so that's who's walking with you. But this idea that the government is, that you dare to mention that the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or Congress or the president is not going to make your life good, if I dare say that out loud, that's blaspheming this dead God. And man, they go religiously bananas out there.
Before you tweet something, I want to challenge everybody. Before you Instagram, put mean things on, whatever, go find out the names of your 2 neighbors on either side of you and who live across the street from you, and decide you're going to lean in and write them a note, say, hey, how's it going? You doing okay?
Yeah. I mean,
get to meet people locally.
Put something positive out there that causes somebody to move in the right direction. And what I'm trying to do there is saying, don't lean on the government because you've got a long wait.
Yeah.
If you're waiting on this to fix your life, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because your philosophy of life is broken.
That's right.
And so there's a lot of wisdom and guidance in saying, don't believe in a dead God.
Yeah.
That the God of the government is not going to provide.
Yep.
They cannot do it.
Yeah.
They cannot do it. All they can give is small representations of it, so they continue to get your vote. And when you completely sell out to them emotionally, like some of you have, you're screwed.
Especially these days.
Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. This is the Dave Ramsey Show, where we talk about your life and your money. Thank you for calling us. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Evan is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Hi, Evan. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
Long story short, in September, my wife and I welcomed our first child. So,
yay!
That was the only good thing I think that really happened to us in 2020. So that's a plus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I left my job to be a stay-at-home dad. So we are blessed to be able to work off of her, salary. I'm working through the baby steps. I'm fairly new to you. I've been listening to you a lot now recently. I feel like I'm getting hung up on baby step 2 because I kind of feel like we're kind of out of order, but we have a lease and we have 14 months left on the lease. And I feel like for me, I'm trying to do the budget and it's kind of really messing with my head having that $429 payment every month. So I was just looking at what you think we should do with maybe, should we buy out the lease? Or I was thinking of maybe just taking some of our savings and just paying out the rest of the 14 payments, and just so I can utilize that $429 kind of differently when I'm budgeting then. Or what do you think I should do there? Because I feel like...
What are you planning on doing with the car at the end of the 14 months?
Well, that's a thing. My wife is currently working from home, so there's a chance that even when this is up, she could still be working still from home. So in that case, we would just need my car. It's paid for and everything. So we wouldn't necessarily need 2 cars, maybe. So that's the thing, too. I was like, if we don't need 2 cars, then maybe we could, just get away with mine for a while.
What's your household income?
Gross is $87,000.
How much other debt do you have other than this car?
Just a house.
That's it? The car and the house?
Yeah.
And how much is in savings?
We have a $30,000 emergency fund.
Okay, so you're doing this out of order. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have $38,000 in our savings, a regular savings.
Call the car company and ask them what the early buyout on the car is. That's the payoff balance today. That will consist of the remaining of your payments plus the buyout number at the end minus a discount for cost of capital. And so there's a number you would buy it for at the end of 14 months, and then that number plus the $429 for 14 is the second number. It's that total of those two. The buyout should be less than that total. Did you get that already?
Yeah. So the early, if I just wanted to buy it out right now, then is $26,100.
Write a check today and pay the car off.
Okay.
Then keep the car.
Gotcha. Okay, you say to keep it. Okay.
Let's pretend you had a $26,000 car loan on your car, and you called me up with $30,000 in your bank account. That's what I would tell you to do, isn't it? You knew that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to sell your car later and move down to one car, you can, but you can afford this car with your income, and you have the money. I'm going to pay it off and keep it and move on to baby step 3, make sure I have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, and then I'm going to start my retirement and go from there. But you're trying to work your plan and hang on to the savings, not our plan. And so you just got to decide which place you want to be. Make a decision, paint or get off the ladder here. And that's what I would do if I woke up in your shoes, because I know that if you follow through on what we teach, this is the shortest distance between where you are and a level of wealth that puts you in a position to be outrageously generous. Works that way. Dr. John Deloney is my co-host today. If you want to talk about your life and things that are happening in your relationships and so forth, jump in. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Danny's in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Hi, Danny. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So an interesting opportunity's come up recently where there's a potential where I could be working in a six-figure job, but it would require a move. And me and my family are very well firmly planted in this area. We planted a church recently, and I work 2 other jobs as well. And so I guess I was curious what your thoughts were on something like that, because that from my standpoint in life, going up that much in a yearly income through one job is very. I never dreamed it'd even be something that could potentially be on the table.
What's the job?
It'd be a project management.
Is it something you love to do, that you want to do?
Yeah, I'm good at management. It's something that I've done for 8 years. But my calling is to help and serve people and speak life into people's lives. So I work full time in the fitness industry, and then I pastor part time, and then I work with people with mental disabilities part time as well.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I have 2 kids and a wife.
So it sounds like you already know the answer. Do you feel guilty about not taking a 6-figure job?
Yes.
Sounds like you don't want the job. Sounds like you don't want to move.
Yeah.
So you got permission to not take the job, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that.
The other side of it is, seasonally, man. Is this a moment in your life when, man, you could really bite the bullet for 4 or 5 years and work really hard in something? I don't always buy my. Let me put it this way. I'm like you. I feel like I'm good at helping folks. I've done that behind closed doors at 2 a.m. with police departments. I've done that with college kids. I've done that with college kids' parents. I've done that with adults at my house. Now I do it on the radio. It's a different assignment, but the mission stays the same. So if you care and love helping people, you can do that as a project manager. You can also do that, volunteer at a local church or with people with disabilities, right? You can do all those different things. And so, Dave, I struggle with this calling. I've got to only do this thing. I think you can do your life mission in a number of different places, a number of different roles, and if it gives you 5, 10, 15, 25 hours a week back to your kids and your wife, that's an invaluable thing, right?
Yeah. I give you permission to do either one, and I'll just echo what John's saying. What ran through my mind is that somehow you've gotten in your head that in order to be helping people, you have to be broke.
No.
And
no,
I have to be doing personal training and be a minister part-time, because in business you can't be helping people. Actually, that could be the biggest mission field, the biggest ministry that you've ever had in your life, managing projects and leading young people. And I mean, you could speak into their lives in so many ways. I do every day with our 1,000 people on this team here. It is one of the biggest ministries that I have is the leadership role here at Ramsey, not just on the radio. And so, the idea that you can be a restaurant owner and be in ministry. You can, so it's just it's a mindset of how you get there. I kind of think though you don't want to leave Grand Forks. That's also in the mix that we drove past pretty quick. So this is both a career and a location thing. The only thing I would challenge you is don't turn this down because it's not holy and what you're doing is holy.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Whew.
That would be a mistake.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to do that thing and you don't want to live in that city and the only thing taking you there is money, you're going to be miserable. Right. Don't go do it. Don't go do it, because, I mean, money does not solve everything, dude. I mean, if you eat enough lobster, it tastes like soap. I mean, you just get more money at some point. So, but also you don't have to work for a nonprofit to be holy.
Right.
You don't have to be small time to be holy. Your work can be holy when you decide it is, and you have a other-centered matrix that you're looking at it through. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. This coming Friday night, he and Rachel Cruz will be doing a Money and Marriage live stream, February the 12th at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $30. If you're a Ramsey Plus member, it is free for you to watch. If you want to have your marriage impacted, your money impacted, John and Rachel, you will be laughing and crying and everything else. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Means even if you mismeasure, you pick the wrong color, they'll remake your window blinds for free. Free samples, free shipping, and with the new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Use the promo code Ramsey to get the best possible deal.
All right, today's question comes from Doug in Missouri. I'm struggling with how much to help my son and daughter-in-law financially. They are both mid-30s, and she recently became a veterinarian with about $400,000 in student loans, which has severely affected their ability to buy a house or save any money. Financially, I could easily help them as I have several million saved, but I want them to figure this out themselves. However, I feel guilty for not helping them. Both my wife and I are afraid it's going to be the wrong decision. I need some perspective, as I'm just not sure what the best thing to do is. Dave, do you know how much vets make? I don't.
More than a lot of doctors.
Do they?
I mean, I don't know how long she's been in practice or where she is, but 100 to 200.
Okay. So, if you take out $400,000 to become a doctor, whether you're a doctor of a person or a doctor of a animal, I think you got to work together and figure it out. And you got to get a long-term plan. I've never been in a position like this parent's in. You've got more perspective on that than I do. I want folks who signed on a dotted line that said, I agree that you're going to help me get my education, and I promise to pay you back. I felt an obligation to pay people back. Even when I didn't fully understand what I was signing, at the end of the day, I had to look at that paper and say, I signed it, I borrowed it, I got to figure it out. So that's where my bent is. But I've never been in the position where I could help somebody to a tune of, I could wipe this out one afternoon and take care of it for them. So I get that temptation for my kids. But I'm hesitant to do that. What do you think?
I think most people go too far one direction or the other.
Okay.
Like he just writes the check and they don't feel any pain and they just bop off into the sunset, right? Or he does nothing and they languish for years when he could have stroked a check and bailed them out.
Helped them out.
So the only thing I've been able to figure out that's kind of in the middle is if you're going to get my money, you're going to get my coaching.
Comes with strings. There you go.
And my coaching is nothing to do with me. It's not about controlling. Yeah. It's about you're going to be on a path that I agree with or I'm not financing it.
Right.
And so if you could get them on a tight budget, they're not out spending money like they're crazy. They're like they're in Congress or something. They're on a budget. They're working hard. They're making progress. And you agreed to match everything they throw to the student loan. As long as they're on a path. Right. Now, if they're paying $10 on the student loan and they make $350,000, no, they're not on a path.
Right.
But if they're putting $150,000 on that student loan or $200,000 on it, and they're going to do that in 18 months or something, and they're going to live on beans and rice, and they're going to do the stuff, then they got their engine running. I'll pour some gas in their engine.
I like that. Okay, so no new cars, no big house.
Yeah, they're working a plan that I think they should work.
Right.
Which is what they would have to do if I wasn't there as dad.
Right.
And this guy, I'm putting the dad shoes on with this guy, right? But if I wasn't there, what would they have to do? Well, they'd be dirt under their fingernails, man. I mean, they'd be scratching and clawing, right?
Right.
And so, there's a difference between abandonment on one end of the spectrum, enabling
right.
on the other end of the spectrum, which is just like, oh, it's just not fair. They got the student loans. We're just going to write them a check and just forgive all their student loans, and all this crap's happening in Washington, right? And it's sad that the girl's got student loans, and I don't want her to. I feel bad for her. If you got student loans out there, I feel bad for you, but I don't want the government to forgive them.
Right.
I want you to work through them, and I want us into society to come around you, and I want them to stop making the student loans before they start talking about forgiving them, by the way. That's a side issue, too. But anyway, I said that on our Borrowed Future podcast and didn't stir up near as much as when I said it on Fox this morning. But anyway, the point being that, yes, I want to help them, but I want to help them if they're
equally invested in helping themselves.
If someone is not doing good things for themselves and you finance that, that is not helping them.
Correct.
That is harming
It's
them.
enabling them. That's
That's
right.
giving a drunk a drink. That's buying a cocaine addict his next bag.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, you're a weed addict. Here, I'll buy you a bag. You know, I mean, that's not helpful to finance misbehavior, finance behaviors that aren't causing them to win. But if they're moving in the right direction and I can come alongside them and say, hey, what if you did this, this, and this? And if you did those three things and you really play through, I'll do this to put some gas in your little engine.
Right.
But let's get the little engine going down, the little engine that could, right, going down the tracks here, and then I will join hands with them. But, another example of that is I had a friend that's very wealthy, and he refused to pay for a dime of his kid's college because he had to work his way through, and so he appreciated his education because he had dirt under his fingernails, and he had to scratch and claw to get his education. And he's worth it probably $1 billion. Wouldn't pay for a dime of his kid's college. And I respect that. I understand his reasoning, and I mean he's hardcore, right?
All right.
I paid for 100% of my kids' college.
Yeah.
But I did not pay for 100% of kids' college who were misbehaving.
Right.
They weren't. They were walking with God. They weren't down there sleeping around all over the campus. They weren't doing drugs. They weren't drunk in their bed and missing classes. So they were functional students.
Right.
Bringing home grades. Walking a lifestyle and a life that I approved of, I'll finance that.
Right.
Well, they need to get a job. That is their job then, is behaving, And in that world, that's a big job.
And I want to talk to folks that are my age, that are younger than me, that are thinking about college. If you take money from somebody else, they get to speak into how you spend it. That's how that works. And going back to our original,
that's not controlling.
No, that is a part of that's a part of the agreement. If I give you money to go to college, if I give you money to pay off your student loans, I get to speak into how you spend it because it's mine. It's a gift, right? And it's this. I goes back to that.
Yeah, I had a guy call me from Michigan one time. He said, my son has decided he's going to an expensive school that we can't afford, so it's going to mean student loan debt. What do I do? My son told me this is what he's doing. And I said, well, it starts way back when your son started telling you stuff.
This is a 6-year-old problem. This is an 18-year-old problem.
And my son doesn't tell me stuff. I tell him stuff. That's
exactly
how that works.
Right. Yes.
Especially when it's me writing the freaking checks. So I'm going to tell you where your little butt's going to school if I'm paying for it.
That's right.
And so we don't need to visit colleges. I'll help you with this.
That's right. That's right.
Because, you can visit 2. There's 2 here that are in your budget. You can go look at them. I don't even need to go with you. And so you don't fall in love with the beauty of the college campus and go $250,000 in debt to get a degree in left-handed puppetry.
But it goes back to that conversation we were talking about in a segment ago. I want everyone to understand when you take money from somebody, you're also taking whatever else they're going to hand you, right? Whatever else they're going to demand of you, whatever else they're going to make you do.
Well, and when we start talking about, we'll parlay this. This guy, the answer to the question for me is, if they will do smart things, help them. Help them do smart things. But if they're not,
I want to tell them, man, I don't care if you're a veterinarian. I don't care if you're a surgeon. I don't care if you're a medical doctor. If you have $400,000 in debt, you're going to live like a freshman in college until you get this stuff paid off. I don't care what people in your partnership.
Don't talk to me about buying a recliner. Sit on the beanbag.
Yep. I don't care what your partners are driving at your veterinary clinic. You drive your old car until you get this stuff paid off, man.
Yep, exactly. And if you're waiting around the government to fix it, let me tell you what happens, okay? They announced, you can probably tell me, it's probably it's 15 years ago roughly, the federal government announced that the private student loan forgiveness program.
Oh, man.
If you work 10 years in an underserved situation and you pay your bill on time, we'll forgive the remaining of your debt that is still there at the end of 10 years.
Dave, I worked with these law students.
175,439 people have applied for that. 175,000 people have applied for that. To date, 3,000 of the 175,000, 3,174 have gotten it.
I worked with so many
wonderful
kids.
If you're waiting on the government to fix your life, including the discussions that are going on up there right now, your life's going to suck because you're worshiping a dead God. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, is my co-host today as we talk about your life, which is what he talks about on the Dr. John Deloney Show, or the John Deloney Show. What is it?
It's the doctor. We spent weeks. A lot of creative, brilliant people in here.
Deciding what to name it.
And we came up with the Dr. John Deloney Show.
Sometimes the most obvious things are the answer.
Man, talk about tip your nose on that one, man. Jeez Louise.
The Dr. John Deloney Show. And you need to tune into it on podcasts everywhere. It is absolutely fabulous. I listen to it every day when it comes out. And the stuff you get into, man, there's some deep life issues and some squirrely people out there. Some people's children.
Can I tell you this? It was a heartbreaking moment. It was about 3 or 4 weeks in to shooting the show, and we shoot multiple episodes a week, so it got in there quite a bit. And somebody called with a question, and I just stopped and said, "Why are you asking me?" And Davis was a haunting response, and I think is all over the country now. She said, "I got nowhere else to go." And that it broke my heart, right? People got nobody. They're going to call a guy they don't know on the radio, right? Like, you're the guy I trust right now. And the whole goal of that show, man, is to teach people how to reconnect with their neighbors and with their local communities and just learn how to be a person again, man. We just lost it. We've lost it. Yeah.
Well, the advice is stellar. And so you guys check it out. And you can call in today, and he'll talk to you right here at 888-825-5225. You know the answer is more than just, I got nobody else. The answer is the other stuff she heard you do made her trust you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You know that's what really happened. All right. Steve is with us. Steve's in New York City. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Dave and John. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Sure. What's up?
Recently retired, about a year now, 53 years old. I have my work retirement, but my mom had passed away about 18 months ago. We sold her house, and I inherited $150,000 that way. Now it's up to me to invest it through mutual funds, and not super duper comfortable with it. I mean, I have some ideas, but I don't know between regular mutual funds, tax deferred mutual funds. Do I go all in with the 150, or do I piecemeal it? And
do you have any debt?
Currently, just my one son's college. He's a senior.
How much do you owe on that?
We probably owe another $35,000 for him.
Okay, we need to set that aside, right?
Yeah, we have that, and we have some savings.
Okay, and so there's no debt associated with the college. You just have an obligation.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Do you have a home mortgage?
Not any longer. Nope.
Good for you. Okay. Couple of things on investing. Let's start at the top. Number one, you don't invest in things that you don't understand. You never invest in things because some goob on the radio like me said do it, or some goob on the internet that's even worse said do it. Okay. So you understand it. And the Bible says in the multitude of counsel there is safety, and what that means is you get some experts around you to give you advice, and the advice is not that you follow the expert. The advice is so that you understand something you didn't understand before. So your financial people need to have the heart of a teacher, so that when you sit down with your financial person and you get up and leave, you need to know something you didn't know before you sit down. Every time. Okay. I spent an hour and a half in my office yesterday with our chief digital officer and 3 of our top senior tech guys, and they were trying to teach me.
Oh, jeez. That's why you're in such a great mood today, man.
About our digital platform. And I do not have to be a digital expert to be the CEO of this digital company, but I do have to grasp the vernacular and I do have to grasp enough of it to help them to make wise decisions under their help. So the multitude of counsel, these experts are in my office teaching me about my company yesterday. In this case, they're teaching you about your money that you inherited from the passing of your parent, right? And so you're going to gather that up. You do not have to have an MBA in finance in order to make easy financial decisions, basic investing decisions. Now, so rule number 1 is you don't do it unless you understand it. Rule number 2 is you put somebody in your life that has the heart of a teacher. You can click SmartVestor Pro at DaveRamsey.com or SmartVestor and find the person in your area we recommend. They don't work for us. They pay us an endorsement fee, and they have to agree to approach your investing the way that we teach and with the heart of a teacher. I personally invest, Steve, inside my retirement accounts in 4 types of mutual funds: growth and income, aggressive growth, and international. Outside of retirement accounts, those funds all create taxes each year as they grow. That's a problem. There's 2 ways to avoid that with your $150,000. My preference is, and the one that I personally do, is I invest in mutual funds, growth stock mutual funds, that have what's called a low turnover ratio. Now, you ready for the teaching part?
Okay.
Here we go. If you buy a rental house for $200,000 and it goes up in value to $300,000 and you still own it, you do not owe taxes on that $100,000 in growth because you've not sold the house. Agreed?
Correct.
So you've got capital gains growth, but you don't have any taxes because you've not sold it. Stock is the same way. If a share of stock goes from $50 to $70, you don't pay taxes on that $20 gain until you sell it. Same is true inside a mutual fund. The turnover ratio is when they sell the stock inside the mutual fund. If it has a 90% turnover ratio, that means almost all the stocks get sold every year, and so all those gains are going to be taxable every year. If they have a 5%, if they have a 5% turnover ratio, which is a low turnover ratio, that means you're not going to pay taxes on the increase in value until you sell the mutual fund, because they aren't selling the stocks inside the mutual funds hardly at all. Much like that rental house or that share of stock. Did that make sense?
It definitely did. So that low turnover, what number am I looking at? Is it
under
really
10? You want an under 10% turnover ratio.
Under 10%. Okay.
Yeah, because anything that turns over, the gain is they're going to send you a tax bill on the gain every year.
Every year, yes. Okay.
So you want it to not turn over hardly at all, so that it only grows without taxes until you sell it. Now, if you hold it a year, when you sell it, you're going to be taxed at capital gains rate, 15%, rather than the ordinary income rate, 30%, 40%. So
Right.
the tax rate's also much lower for you. So it's tax efficient 2 different ways. One is you're not taxed till you sell it, and 2 is when you do sell it, it's taxed at a capital gains rate. Your SmartVestor Pro can help you with every bit of that and finish teaching you what I did in 5 minutes. But that's the whole thing. All you got to do is learn some basic things like that. This is not rocket science. You just got to have somebody who knows their stuff, and they show you how, and then you know your stuff. So you do it smart. Folks, it's an honor to tell you about the Army National Guard. Not only are they big supporters of our high school curriculum, but they also give you the opportunity to impact your local communities. Whether your goals are to get an education, serve your country, or have a better life, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Plus, they offer unbelievable financial benefits. Secure your future today. Visit nationalguard.com/Ramsey to find out more. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. The phone number is 888-825-5550. 9225. Mike is in Tampa, Florida. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Dr. D. Thanks for taking the call. How are you guys today?
Better than we deserve. How can we help?
I need a little help with the tiebreaker for your favorite question. We are on baby step 2, and I'm debating on selling my vehicle. We still have a car payment on my wife's car as well, and student loans.
How much in student loans?
Student loans is $30,000.
What do you owe on your cars?
I owe $12,000 on my wife's car, and I owe $32,000 on my Expedition.
And what's your household income?
I make $140,000 plus vehicle allowance, my mileage rate, and then my wife makes $50,000, and I have 2 side hustles that bring in about $20,000 a year.
So $250,000?
About that, yes.
Okay. And any other debt other than these 3 things on your mortgage?
We actually went. We don't have a mortgage. We decided to wait until we got out of debt. And no, we paid off all of our credit cards. We paid off all of the medical debt already. We are just now on to the vehicles and the student loans.
Okay. And you're fired up about this, and she's not as fired up.
Yeah, well, I drive over 1,000 miles a week. I work from Miami to Jacksonville. I'm on the road all day, and she's a little concerned that if I sell the vehicle, get something cheaper, it'll break down, and my vehicle allowance, my vehicle mileage generally covers the car payment and the gas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the other hand on the fence because I see debt going way faster.
Okay. All right. Well, you get the vehicle allowance whether you have a car payment or not. So comparing it to the car payment is a fool's trap. Don't get caught in that trap. But you can afford these cars, and you can afford this debt. You can afford to pay off this debt. I mean, you got $74,000 worth of debt, making $250. You ought to be debt free in a year.
That was the idea. Yes, I figure under 15 months.
Okay. Now let's pretend you're there. So that's probably what you ought to do. By the way, okay. I think your wife wins the argument, as long as you're both on board with doing beans and rice and getting out of debt in a year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the second thing is this. You need to drive because you are destroying the value of whatever vehicle you drive.
Mm-hmm.
You need to drive the least possible expensive car for purposes of your business that will get the job done. Now, let's put that in air quotes. Get the job done. The definition of getting the job done, when I make $250,000 a year, I don't need to be driving a freaking smart car. I'll be in a chiropractor's office as much time as you spend in a car. You don't need to be driving a piece of crap and broke down on the side of the highway. Okay? So get the job done is a nice, comfortable, reliable vehicle, knowing that whatever I spend on it, I might as well pile that up in $100 bills in the front yard and light it on fire because you're going to destroy the value of whatever you drive. Agreed?
Yes, sir. Agreed.
And so next time I buy a car, it's probably not going to be a $40,000 car to destroy.
Yeah, absolutely. Dumb decision.
Yeah. No, I'm picking on you. I'm just saying going forward, that's what I would do because you just say I'm a road warrior. Even if you want a nice car in the driveway and a road warrior car for driving that I'm destroying, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. I thought I was getting like a smaller car, and she said that I would be miserable, and I agree. You said the same thing.
Yeah, I just don't want you in a piece of crap that's not reliable, and I also don't want you in something that's, you spend a lot of time in a car. It needs to ride good. It needs to drive good. It needs to be, it's a road car. I mean, but you wouldn't drive you wouldn't go buy a $100,000 Mercedes and turn it into a $10,000 Mercedes every 3 years. Because that's what you're doing. So that's the balance here. You just got to. It's a business decision what you put on the road. Now you may reach a point with your income and your wealth that you have a road car and a weekend driver. That's your cool car that's at home. That's a $40,000 or a $50,000 car that's paid for sitting in your driveway.
And then you get a brand new, Camry or Avalon or something
to drive? Two-year-old one.
There you go, yeah.
And just get you, a 2-year-old Camry or a nice Honda Accord loaded up or whatever. I don't care what it is. I mean, Caddy. Yeah, those Caddies are pretty nice. They're doing good.
Just knowing you're going to burn the depreciation off that sucker to the ground.
Whatever it is. And, what you're looking for there is you're looking for gas mileage too.
Yeah.
Because you're running the wheels. You're just running up and down the road 1,000 miles, man. I mean, you start putting 50,000 miles a year on a car, pretty much gone.
Right.
I mean, even if you take care of it, you can get a lot of life out of it. But my point is the value goes away quickly.
Yep.
Because nothing destroys value like mileage. So that or, driving it up through the field.
Yes.
Jumping creeks or, stuff like that.
That's the John Deloney way of treating cars.
Might
That's
be
right.
some rednecks sitting here that have done something like that. I don't know anybody like that personally, but they're in this room. All of us. Okay, Josh is with us. Josh in Springfield, Illinois. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Dave, what's up?
Hey, man, how can we help?
Hey, my wife and I are having a good-hearted disagreement. We've got all our debt paid off except for a semi-truck and our house. So I was wanting you to kind of break the tie here.
This is Tiebreaker Hour. John.
Tiebreaker Hour, man. You guys are setting us up, guys. What do you want to do, Josh?
I want to pay the big truck off because it's a liability.
What's the balance?
$93,000,
What about the house?
$60,000.
Woo. How much money you got in savings?
Now, last year, Dave, I put 160,000 miles on this semi-truck.
How much money you got in savings?
Oh, $35,000.
And what's your household income?
My 1099 last year was for 2020 was 170,000.
Yeah, but that's before expenses, right?
That's the only expense taken out of that would be fuel. So 170,000 to my bank account. My truck payment's about $2,100 a month.
What's the fuel?
The fuel, I would say, we was around about 50 or 60,000 in fuel.
Okay, so you made 120. Does she work outside the home?
No.
Okay, so if we have $120,000 and $35,000 and we have $150,000 in debt, how quickly can we pay both of them off?
I think we can pay the house off in less than a year.
Both of them should be gone in 3 years. Agreed?
Agree.
Okay, so we're really not arguing about much except just which one's going to be in the third year and which one's going to be in the first year.
Correct.
So which one does your wife want to do first?
She want to do the house first.
She wants to pay the house off. I want to pay this because this is depreciation.
Yeah, but you get the depreciation either way. You get the depreciation either way, and either way, they're both done in 3 years.
Okay.
So the only thing you're losing is not the concept of getting it paid off at all. The only thing you're losing is whether it's done in the second and third year or whether it's done in the first and second year.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is now marital advice.
So now I want you to go home tonight. I want you to, hey, Josh, I want you to take a knee. I want you to say, honey, I was wrong. I was wrong, and I love you, and you're beautiful, and we're going to get this house paid off for you.
And as long as we can both agree that we're going to play all the way through and be done with both in 3 years, I'm with you. Let's do the house first. You didn't really lose much. You just lost a little bit of time on your argument. You lost the argument, but that's okay. It's better to lose the battle and win the war, my brother.
You know, she's sitting right next to me laughing at me, listening to you.
The good news is you guys have a great marriage, and you're having a fun discussion about how many different ways you can become wealthy. Yeah. These are lots of discussions couples never get to have. I'm so proud of y'all. That's impressive.
That's cool, man. And I love the sense of humor about it all. If you can keep that about some of these conversations, man, that's so good.
And we're having a discussion about how fast we're going to get everything paid off.
Right.
And all of it is within 3 years. There's no negative in this discussion.
Nobody loses if your mortgage is paid off in 3 years or 12 months.
Yeah.
That's a cool place to be.
Actually, you're going to take some of that $35,000. Well, you got to have that as emergency fund probably. But if that's not your emergency fund, if that's extra savings, only $60 owed on that house, you're probably going to be out of debt before Christmas.
He owes her a nice dinner tonight, too.
Ooh. That's what happens when you lose the bet. Sharon used to say, I'll bet you pizza. And we both got pizza.
Everybody wins. I'll take that bet every time.
Works out. Dr. John Deloney, my co-host today here on The Ramsey Show. This is Dave Ramsey, your host. Open phones at 888-825-5225. In the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage, Jeffrey and Nicoletta are here. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
How much debt have you two paid off?
$49,000.
Wow. How long did that take?
23 months.
Good for you. Where do you guys live?
We live in Tampa, but in Lakeland, Florida.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to Lakeland several times. Very cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
We love it.
Fun. Yeah, Southeast University. I spoke there at some events several times.
Yep, that's where I went for undergrad and my master's.
Yeah, they had used to have a big leadership thing down there,
Yep.
and bring in a bunch of outside speakers, and I was one of them a couple of times.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very nice. How long? What was your range of income during this 23 months?
So the first year was $50K, and then we finished off with $75.
Good for you. Well done.
What do you guys do for a living?
I'm a maintenance technician for a logistics company down there.
And I'm a mental health therapist.
Very good. What kind of debt was the $49,000?
So I had a $3,000 car loan, and then the rest was our student loans.
He points at her.
Yeah, mostly mine.
I did both.
Yeah, you kind of, the thumb was, you were hitchhiking for a minute, and then you went back. Yeah, okay.
Well played, man. That's a man married to a therapist right there. Well done.
All right, $49,000 in student loans and car loans. How old are you two?
I'm 27.
I just turned 25.
How long have you been married?
2 years.
Okay, so this was the first order of business when you got married then?
Yes.
So tell me how that goes down, because most married couples don't start and go, hey, let's get out of debt. What happened?
So I think my journey started with when I was younger, because my parents were normal. They were just had debt, and I saw the stress that normal caused. And that was probably when I was 14 or 15. And then fast forward to I was probably 22, and I went through the class with Mary Beth up in Calvary Irwin. I lived in Pittsburgh before we moved back to Lakeland to be with her because she got a free master's.
Ah, okay.
And I went through the class, and I was like,
You mean Financial Peace University?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
and I was like, this is how I want us to handle our money, because it just makes sense. And
And then we got engaged, and he gave me one of your books, and I read it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so
She's on board?
right when we got married, we started right away.
Just like that. Y'all are just too easy. I went to class, and she read the book and said, let's do it. There was no big fight. Nobody had to get killed.
That's a brave guy to give a self-help book for an engagement gift, brother. That's a brave.
To a therapist.
Yeah.
To a therapist.
She knew how to breathe it out. Just wow. Exactly. There wasn't an exercise book or something in there too. Okay, good for you, man. Just the money.
I'm not that bad.
Okay, all right. Just the money. Good.
You guys are fun. I'm so proud of you. Well done. Who were your biggest cheerleaders?
We had a bunch of friends.
We had the social aspect was difficult because some friends were like super encouraging, but they didn't understand what we were doing, but they love us, and so they were like, great. And there's other ones that we actually have friends that just became debt-free last week, and so people like that were super on board and came alongside us and checked in, and we remember during the end, something with our car happened, and we just felt super discouraged because it was the very last leg of it. And we texted two of our friends who were really on board with us. Like, I literally sent a voice memo, like crying, like explaining how frustrated this was. And they literally both sent voice memos back praying for us and just like, you guys can do it. You're so close. And that was literally the last thing we needed to get through. It was awesome.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool. You know, John, honestly, I see this a lot more because I used to say, like, who was the one that made fun of you and who were your biggest cheerleaders. And 10 years ago, somebody in their 20s doing their debt-free scream, I said, who are your, well, we have friends that didn't understand and they made fun of us.
Right.
This generation, the 20s, are like, they don't understand, but they love us.
It's because it's
and
like,
they do it anyway.
You do you, bro.
This
That's right.
This 20s generation is awesome.
That's
It's an awesome generation. They're so I don't even like you and what you're doing, but do it anyway. I love you. Go. It's just like it's great. It's so cool. Very cool. What do you tell people the key to getting out of debt is?
I think being obedient to the Lord is like putting your tithe first, like you say, and allowing God to work, pretty much.
Yeah, and I would definitely say discipline. The people who want what we have and see our results, it's funny because we'll tell them and they're like, well, what about this or what about that? And I'm like, you just don't care. This is the priority. And so you just do it. And it's like no excuses, and don't take it personal when your husband tells you no to going to Target and things like that. So it's
It
just
might have happened. That might have happened.
Dude, she just stared a hole through you, man.
no, but I needed it. And knowing we're on the same page, like at first I did take it personal, like, well, this is annoying, but he's like, no, like we're a team, this is what it is. And I would do it to him when he wanted snacks, like unnecessary things. And so it really is just being on the same team and just not making excuses, just seeing what it could look like long term. That was like the big thing for us.
Yeah, just like maintaining context. Like this is only for a little bit, and then we can do whatever we want later.
Yeah.
Live like no one else later. You can live and give like no one else.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Nicoletta, from a therapist viewpoint, did you recognize that you guys early in your relationship are setting, you're setting serious grooves in how you process information as a couple, how you go win at things as a couple. The money piece just happened to be where you were doing it.
Yeah.
But this was a huge exercise relationally, wasn't it?
For sure. Yeah. And another hard thing that was a part of our journey was social life, because for me, I'm super extroverted, and we started to not get invited to things. And I'm like, they don't want to be friends with us anymore because we don't want to go out and spend money on this and this and this and whatever they're doing. We live close to Disney. And so I think for us two together, it was a growing part, because we were like realizing we can't take this stuff personally. Like, they still love us, they're still our friends. Some like we're super creative and like, hey, let's just have a game night because we know you guys are trying to save money. And I feel like our community helped us be a team too, because we realized like sometimes it is just going to be you and I, and like no one else is going to get it. And then our community around us really helped us too. So in our marriage, it was really awesome because I feel like we grew. It just extended into everything else. Just super important. Yeah.
It's powerful.
It's, golly, dude. My wife and I are having those conversations now, and we've been together almost a quarter century, so good for you guys, man.
Thank you.
Just being able to see, hey, this is just seasonal. This is just going to be hard for a couple of 2 or 3 years, and then, right? It's always that and then. And Dave, I have to just say, what these two figured it out, and we've been talking about this whole segment. It's both and. It's the dreamer, it's the prayer, it's the... we're going to work out. It's going to work out. And then there's also you got to do it every day and every day and every day and every day. It's both and, right?
Yep.
You got to have that big picture and that discipline. You got to feel it and then go do it, right?
Yes.
And those rotate and supporting each other every other day, right?
Yep.
One day it's like, I just need a dream, man, because I can't get up and do it again.
Exactly.
And then vice versa.
Well, but you got such a healthy view of your interaction with your community that you got from your community what you needed.
They're awesome.
That was pretty cool.
That's cool, man.
Well
Can't do
done,
life
you
alone.
guys.
It's awesome.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Got a copy of Chris Hogan's book for you, Everyday Millionaires. We're also going to give you a ticket to the live stream that is coming up this Friday night with Dr. John Deloney and Rachel Cruz, the Money and Marriage event.
We may need to have them on the show, actually.
Yeah, you
Do a
really
segment.
needed to interview them on how to do it. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. February 12th, 7 p.m. Going to give you all of that as our gift. We're so proud of you guys. Congratulations. Well done. All right, Jeffrey and Nicoletta from Lakeland, Florida. $49,000 paid off in 23 months, making 50 to 75. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. We're debt free.
Yeah! This is how it's done.
Both and.
You know, we've been talking about getting you into a Financial Peace University small group, and that the accountability and the encouragement from the small group was the magic sauce of Financial Peace University. It happens inside Ramsey Plus these days. We've been talking about that for 20 years, and you come along in your show, and you're constantly telling people as they're going to work on these mental health things that they've got in their lives, they've got to be in community. Friends are everything.
Everything.
Friends are everything. And we've lost a lot of that during this pandemic, and you guys got to reach back out and pull that back into your lives in order to have successful lives.
Scratch and claw, do whatever you got to do to get reconnected, man.
It's just vital.
The check won't save you in the mail. Your friends will.
Ooh.
You got to have people.
Ooh. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Here at Ramsey Solutions, we want to do millions and millions of times what we just experienced with that debt-free scream. We want to transform so many lives that disruption spreads like wildfire across our country. Whether it's in the mental health space with Dr. John or the money space with some of the other Ramsey personalities, career space with Ken Coleman, marriage space, money space. We want to disrupt and transform so many lives. Imagine a world where it's weird to have a student loan debt, where the majority of people pay cash for their cars, where it's kind of looked down on to have a credit card, like the credit card is the cigarette of the financial world, where you actually have the relationship skills to work through the conflict because you've spent time in John's materials. Imagine a world where most people are that way. That's a transforming thing for our nation, and that's what we're trying to do. That's a level of disruption to this toxic culture, and that's what Ramsey Solutions is doing. That's why we've got 1,000 people in our company working together to create products and digital products and services and digital services to help people with this transformation, with the goal of disrupting the toxic culture. Because this culture is messed up, you guys. You know that. You don't want to be married like the culture. You don't want to raise kids like the culture. You don't want to handle money like the culture. You don't want to run a business or leadership like the culture. It's messed up. And we're in the process of changing that. If you want to join us on this crusade, we are on the hunt for folks to join our team. We intend to hire 350 more people this year, and that includes software engineers, Ruby on Rails folks, Java, C#, front-end technologies, UX designers, SEO folks, content specialists, senior developers. You want to write code, you want to lead people that are writing code and building digital products for things that are changing people's lives? Well, that's what we do. Oh, and by the way, we don't work 180 hours a week. We work 40 hours a week and we go home, with a rare exception of when we have a project deadline. But you walk through this place at 6 o'clock at night, there's nobody in here, right, John?
Or somebody's going to say, hey, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
You need to go be with your family.
You need to go home. You need to go home and hug your babies.
If you're no good at home, you're no good
And
here.
that's not true in the digital world. Most of the time, technology folks, if you're a developer,
24/7, 365.
they're just going to burn you up, man. You're just a robot. They're going to eat you alive. And you don't even know what the code you're writing is doing. It could be doing harm in some cases. So if you want to find out about the jobs that are available here, we're on a crusade to change this world. I mean, and that's not just Cheese Factory. That's the truth. Check out DaveRamsey.com. Click on the Dave's Hiring tab over on the right-hand side of the homepage. You can see all of our opportunities. They're not all digital. There's all kinds of opportunities, but tons and tons of senior dev positions and platform folks, Ruby on Rails folks, Java, C#, SEO, tons of that. Product managers. I mean, there's everything. PM1s, 2s, 3s. We've got some serious stuff rolling out of here. You think about the products that we put out. How would you like to have been working on every dollar when we launched that, or when we iterated every day? Yeah, or Ramsey Plus, or some of the other things we're doing. It's pretty fun stuff. So check us out, Dave's Hiring, at DaveRamsey.com. Luca's with us in San Antonio. Hey, Luca, welcome to the Ramsey Show. How can we help?
How you doing, Dave? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So I'm calling because I'm 28 years old. I have a wife and I have 2 little girls, and I'm looking to start getting into becoming a real estate agent. But I don't want to be one of those slime balls, you know? And I just want to know what advice you would have or any thoughts you would have for getting into this in 2021. We have no debt, paid for my wife's school in all cash. We own our vehicles. The only thing is that we live in an apartment. We don't have a house yet, and I just kind of wanted to know what your thoughts were. I'm becoming a real estate agent.
What do you make a year?
This past year, together with my wife and I, we only made $40,000.
Okay. What do you make, and what does she make?
Okay, she makes $32,000, and this year, since I lost my job in 2020, I was really working with immigrant shelters, and kids weren't coming, so they laid us off. So I was kind of here and there with jobs throughout the year, trying to just kind of bring in what I could. So just total was $40,000. But before, I was 7 years with social services, making about $36,000.
Okay, but today, what are you making at this moment?
Okay, today I'm making annually will be $34,000.
Okay, so you've gotten another job.
Yes, I have another job right now.
Okay, all right. And you said you're 28, correct?
28. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Good, great. Well, I think you got a wonderful goal. Why is it you want to get in the real estate business?
You know, I've done the church thing. I've been in church, kind of done the leadership stuff. I love making impacts with people and making connections with people. I'm a people person, and in one sense, I kind of want to be my own boss. And I've always had this thing to want to become an entrepreneur, but I've always been afraid of it. And I feel like real estate is not. It just gives me this drive to want to be able to say, hey, I can help people like myself who've never had a home, and be able to see that come to life and be able to be on the other side of that.
Very good. Okay. Well, I think you should do it. If I can figure out a way, if I'm you, I'm going to do it incrementally, not all at once, meaning not walk in and quit your day job. So I would start talking to real estate brokers in your area and see if you can get on. There's a lot of high production real estate agents, like the ones in our ELP program, that might have a 2 or 3 person team. And one of those people might have an entry-level position where you get licensed and you do some of the grunt work around the real estate business and learn the real estate business working for them. And that's your that's your gateway into moving out on your own eventually.
Okay.
But finding a broker that will let you incrementally learn this, and some kind of part-time or joining a team for some kind of minimal guarantee while you get your license and learn the business, being mentored, like an apprenticeship in a sense. If you can get engaged in something that feels like that, then that's going to do it. The good news is you don't have to sell a lot of houses to make $34,000. So, but you're a long way. I mean, you got to get licensed. You've got to learn a lot of stuff you don't know today before that first sale is going to occur. And so you need to get under somebody's tutelage.
And I can see where you would think, I'm just going to go out and start selling houses. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you just got to pick up, right?
Yeah, and in this world today, the marketing in the real estate business is not just as simple as saying
Popping a sign in the yard. Yeah,
there's a full digital platforms. There's methodologies that you'd use for gathering clients and communicating with clients, and a lot of that costs money.
Yeah,
and getting plugged into that stuff and learning how to do that in today's real estate world. A lot of people don't even use a phone.
Okay.
They're texting. I mean, they use it for texting or email, but the number of times someone's talking on a telephone in our world today is a lot less than it was 5 years ago. And that's certainly true, even where there's a lot of people interaction. I bought a piece of real estate last week, and I'm closing on it tomorrow, and as an investment, and I've not had a telephone conversation. I won't be at the closing. It'll all be done digitally. Everything will be wired, and that's a different world than when I got my real estate license in 1978.
Yep.
So those are the kinds of things you got to be able to get your head around if you're going to move into this, Luca. But I think you should and could do it. I think you can do it, don't you?
It's got a special heart, man. Absolutely. And I love they don't have a lot of money. They don't make a big salary, and they're still cash flowing it. They're still grinding it out. He's got 2 little girls that they're taking care of. I love his spirit, and man, I got lucky with a real estate agent with great character, and I want to see more of them out there. So go get them, man.
Amen. Well, that puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. Dr. John, good job. James Childs and Kelly, good work. We'll be back with you before you know it. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I am John Deloney here with my good friend, best-selling author, and pretty cool person, Mrs. Rachel Cruz. How are you?
Doing great, John. This is fun. We never co-hosted together.
This will be the greatest hour in radio history, probably.
Hopefully.
Or maybe not, Hey, before we get going, what do we got going on Friday?
Yes, we have a fun event. We did the run-throughs this morning for it.
Yes.
It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be super fun.
Money and marriage, and the live stream starts at 7 p.m. Central Time.
That's right.
Friday nights.
This Friday.
Yes, tomorrow if you're listening live. And you can still get tickets right now at DaveRamsey.com. But yeah, it's going to be a fun event because these two subjects in our lives are huge, right? Like there's like the big parts of our lives, our health, our kids, but marriage is always part of that conversation. Money is always part of that conversation. So it's going to be fun.
And all over the country this year, I've been taking call after call about, man, we've become we've had to figure out schooling from home, working from home, all this stuff. Man, our marriage has gotten rocky. It's gotten messy, right? We've become roommates. What do we do now, right? And you've been talking to person after person dealing with loss of a job, furloughed, unsteady income. So, man, we're going to join forces, superpowers, and have a blast.
Well, what's interesting, too, is I'm like 2020 was a fascinating year because for some people, their marriages, I mean, they're hanging on by a thread. Yeah, you look up and you're like, wow, I actually don't like my spouse. And because we're forced to actually see each other, right?
All the time. Or you got the election and they're like, you believe what? Yeah. Right? And it's in the same house? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, all of that. Or I've talked to some couples that have thrived.
It's been the best ever.
Because they have had more family time. They've kind of reestablished these values in their home. Like, man, I just miss this. And so it's this wide spectrum. And the same with money.
Yes.
For some people, they've been laid off, furloughed, stressed out, freaked out. 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency in cash. I mean, like, they're struggling and they feel it.
Yep.
Or some people, they're in this niche business and they've had the best year of their life in their business because they make plexiglass or whatever their thing is.
Right.
They're booming and they're all these revenues are coming in. They can't believe it. So it's just like the spectrum has been magnified.
That's right.
Do you feel that way?
Well, it's almost everything's been put under a microscope.
Yeah.
And we always say stress reveals what your default setting is, right? I don't want to say who you are because that's a character issue, but stress reveals how you normally handle things. Do you turtle up and just wait for the storm to go over? Or like the teacher we talked to that just said enough's enough and took on 47 jobs and in New York City, right? And paid off everything and now she is free and now she's fair. It's everybody responds differently to your marriage when you realize we're going to be locked in a house indefinitely.
Right.
Let's make this awesome. Or do you realize I don't like you, right? You have to figure it out. And what's cool about Friday night is we're going to be talking to everybody, right? If you're hanging on by a thread and you feel there's only a few strings left, join us. If you want to level up, like, hey, we found a new stride here. We want to run even faster. Join us, man. It's going to be a blast.
That's right. Yep. It's going to be exciting.
DaveRamsey.com to get your tickets. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a hoot. All right, let's go to Lynn in Houston, Texas, my hometown, H-Town. Lynn, what's going on?
Hi, I'm here with my husband, Mitchell.
Heyo.
Are you guys setting us up?
Yeah, so we got married in July. We're both 23. And we have a question sort of looking forward into our future, like in the 3 to 5 years out. We're hoping to transition into like the next phase of life with me staying home with kids we hope to have in the future. And we're just sort of thinking about if there's like another savings account we need to have at this point to start preparing for that.
To be saving for the kids. Honestly, Lynn, no. I think the fact that you're thinking about it and understanding, okay, if you want to, once you have kids, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, obviously that cuts your income in half if one income drops. And so being aware of that. So there's a part that you're having this the dinks, the dual income, no kids, that you can really get ahead.
I've never
Have you
heard of that.
A dink?
Nope, never heard of the dinks.
My brother has been a dink for a while, and I'm like, double income, no kids. Enjoy it.
Learning new things on the Dave Ramsey Show.
So you guys can get ahead financially with these two incomes coming in, but then so take advantage of that now is what I'm saying. And then once whether you get pregnant, you guys decide to adopt, however that happens for you guys, once that process starts, and then you can say, okay, now let's look at our lifestyle, start to pan back and get used to living this certain lifestyle with this one income. But I would not necessarily have a separate savings account right now. But I think once that process really begins, you're pregnant or adoption, whatever that looks like, that begins, then I would kind of bunker down and say, okay, let's start cutting our lifestyle so we can get used to it, because there's going to be whiplash with a baby and then whiplash with dropping an income.
And good for you, Lynn, for y'all planning ahead. I don't know many 23-year-olds that think past next Tuesday, so good for you guys, man. That's incredible. I don't know that I knew what next week was going to look like when I was 23, so good for them. All right, let's go to Christian in San Antonio. Christian, what's going on? How can we help?
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
Miss Rachel, I don't know if you remember who I am, but I talked to you back in March. You talked to a lot of people I know. I was the one about calling about how I was so scared about COVID and me quitting for a semester and how I wanted to, build up my emergency fund. Does that ring a bell by any chance?
Yes, it does. It does. Yes.
Oh, well, hello, hi. First of all, I wanted to say, first of all, that I am doing very well. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I let fear get over me. So, get to the point, right? I actually now paid off my debt. I am in my last semester. I paid off all my student loans. I am done. No more debt. I'm so happy.
Way to go, brother.
Amazing. Well done.
Yes. And right now, I listened to your father. I wish he was there, but I'm sure you can just pass a message. I decided to do DoorDash, and I'm doing pretty okay. But let me get to the point, right? Because you guys have a lot of stuff to do. So, my question for today is this: for you, Dr. John, and for Rachel, is that I know what I have to do. I read the book and everything else, but to both of you, I do feel like I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed because I'm trying to get $10,000 for my emergency fund. That is my goal. And the thing is that with everything that's going on with me, like, say, doing a 45-minute workout, door dashing, doing my school, my problem is that I have a lot of time, but I just have horrible time management. I will admit that I have a problem with procrastination. I'm putting things off, and I know it's important, but I tend to sometimes get a little bit depressed, and I get overworked, and I'm just wondering to any of you, like, how can I make sure that I don't lose steam? Because yesterday literally was the day that I did not do anything because I was just so, down the dumps. It's just one of those moments.
Okay, Christian.
That's what I wanted to call.
Hey, we have a hard break coming up, but
I want you to stay on the line.
Stay on the line, and we'll talk about it because I think there's a couple of pieces of this story that I think will be great for the listeners to hear.
That's great. So hang in there, Christian. We'll be right back. And you have some good stuff, man. We'll get to you right here on the Ramsey Show.
Healthcare has gotten to be ridiculous. It puts people, on the brink. And so it would have put us on the brink had we not had CHM. CHM saved our life, saved our financial lives.
Christian Healthcare Ministries, or CHM, is not health insurance, but it is a budget-friendly option and the original health cost sharing ministry for Christians. Get started today and check us out at chministries.org/budget.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm Dr. John Deloney, joined with my good friend and best-selling author, Rachel Cruz, and we're taking your calls on life, taking your calls on money, your relationships, whatever's going on in your life. Give us a shout at 888-825-5225. We're talking to Christian in San Antonio, and Christian has been busting it. He has been working like crazy to get his school paid off, to get his debts paid off, and he's almost there. Now he's working on, or he's cleaned off his debts. Now he's working towards an emergency fund, and he's just sometimes running out of steam. Is that right, Christian?
Pretty accurate, yeah.
And so what's your main question? How to better manage your time? How not to be as stressed? What's your main question?
It is more of just how do I, keep everything aligned? I mean, I guess you can say the time, like I said before, and I'll be honest in the fact that I do have time because I don't really have a full-time job. It's all part-time work.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
From what they say is that, more time, it seems that I tend to procrastinate a lot.
Hey, Christian, why are you getting out of debt? Why are you getting an emergency fund? Like, what's the purpose?
The purpose, mainly is to help my family out. And I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it more for, my family, to make sure that, say, if something goes wrong, I can help my family out. I would think that's the main reason. Okay. I just don't want to, I don't want my family to suffer. So if there's something that goes wrong, I have the money right there for it, and, it's less stress for the family. So, and it'll be a nice feeling to do it. That's another thing, too, if I got to mention that. Always ask yourself why, right?
Yeah.
Ask myself, why am I doing this? I know that's a big thing, is why I do things.
So, Christian, I would say on the money piece of this, we always say baby steps 1 through 3. We call it gazelle intensity, right? Which you have done. I mean, you've been in school and you've still paid off your loans. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So that is your intensity. So any moment you have, I would schedule your time like you did your debt snowball. Like you scheduled exactly where your money's going, right? Your budget for your money, you knew where it was going. You were intentional. You had a plan, or you wouldn't have paid off all that student loan debt in less than a year. So you have the intentionality bone in your body, if you will. So be able to use that towards your time and to know, hey, I'm going to be intense. I'm still going to do all my side work. If I have spare time, you know what? I'm going to still buckle down, because your foot is to, the pedals to the metal, if you will, on those baby steps 1 through 3. And then knowing that end point, whatever that dollar amount is for your emergency fund, once that's completed, then you can kind of take a break off, put your foot off the gas and say, okay, what else can I be doing with my time? But being able to be constructive with your time, intentional with that, and then knowing, you're still going to stay intense through baby step 3.
And when it comes to the personal stuff, I always want to make sure, even when you're running gazelle intense, you want to have people in your life, Christian. You want to make sure you're spending time with folks, even if it's a few minutes, even if you're working out with somebody, even if you are choosing to have stay-at-home dinners or lunches. Invite somebody over if you can. In Texas, I think they're opening back up. I don't know if they ever even closed, but you want to make sure you've got people in your life. If you've got a lot of those thoughts and you were alluding to, man, I just start getting a little bit depressed, I don't want to get up, feel like I got so much to do, make sure you write those things out like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I love that idea, Rachel, of almost like every thought, almost like every dollar, right? Every thought. Budget your thoughts out, man, and demand evidence from them. And if one of them says, man, you're not going to get there, you're a loser, you're exhausted, you can say, nope, not true, and you can move on to the next one. And here's the last thing. This is a not cool thing to say in certain circles, but you got to sometimes do it when you don't feel like it. We let ourselves get driven by our feelings sometimes and our emotions, and don't feel like it today. That's when you really got to do it, right? And if you got that budget, if you've got that time budget, you got that process budget, then you're going to look at it and say, nope, I got to go do this today. I got to get that workout in. I don't want to make my lunch today, but I got to make my lunch today. You got to make yourself do those things. Don't forget to remember how good it feels when you get to the end of a day and you've got yet another victory, another small win. So, Christian, you are crushing it, man. You did so good since March when you called last time. You're an inspiration to everybody, man. You can make this work. Good for you. We're proud of you, brother. All right, let's go to Sam in Dayton, Ohio. Sam, what's going on?
How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thanks for giving us a shout. How can we help?
So I'm 25, and both my parents have passed away. My mom passed away in 2015, and then my dad passed away about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, Sam, I'm sorry, man.
I appreciate that. I've got a lot of really good people around me, and so it's been a lot easier to, handle this whole crisis. I know that you were saying to the last caller that having people around you is super important, and I couldn't agree more.
That's
Very
awesome.
lucky to have the friends that I have.
Good for you. Man.
To get to the point, I am receiving an inheritance from my dad. I'm not entirely sure how much it's going to be. It's going to be between $250,000 and $400,000. $27,000 of it is going to be coming to me in the next few weeks, and the rest of it is tied up in the estate, and it has to stay open in Ohio for 6 months. And it's more money than I've ever had to deal with before or ever had the opportunity to deal with, because I am very similar to Rachel. I'm a spender, and I'm not great at naturally saving. So I've been kind of an ish kind of guy, and I'm not in really any debt. I've got like a $2,000 medical bill, but that's it. And I feel like this has kind of given me an opportunity to financially reset and do things the correct way. And I know nothing about investing, know nothing about handling this sort of money, and I'm just completely out of my league.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. So, so you said you have about a $2,000 medical debt, no other debt, no student loans, car loans, nothing. Do you have any
Nothing.
Do you have any other savings?
I did before 2020, but I was the little pig in the straw house, so that went away pretty quickly.
For sure. Okay, so what I would say, Sam, is that $27,000 you're going to get pretty instantly. And I would go ahead, just pay off the medical debt, and then I would set everything else in a money market account. You can open one on an online bank or a local bank, but it's going to get you a little bit better rate of return than versus a traditional savings account. But usually with some money market accounts, at least mine, I can say you can't just use it as a checking account. You can't just continue to write checks. And you can write like 2 checks a month or something. So it will help prevent you to spend it all. And it's in a separate account, not your checking. So it's over here. And I would let that sit. I would let that be your emergency funds. And then when you receive everything else, it's going to be, like you said, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And so I would have someone in my corner that can help me. So we have SmartVestor pros all over the country. And so I would really sit down with someone, interview a couple of people in that investment world, and find someone that has the heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman, is what we always say. And that's so true, because you'll feel them. Like, you'll sit down, Sam, and some guy will start talking, and you're going to be like, gross. Like, he's just gross, right? Like, you can just pick up on people. And you're like, oh.
He's just gross.
Yeah, I don't like him. So find someone that you really, really like on a personal level, honestly, because that's going to lead to say, hey, okay, I trust you. And you're doing all of this because they are teaching you along the way. And so since you said, I know nothing about investing, have them teach you and say, hey, here's what a Roth IRA looks like. Hey, your company matches. Okay, well, let's put X amount up. Like, do different things, or have them talk to you about different options. So that would be one thing I would do. And then, do you own a home? Are you renting, or do you own?
No, I rent.
Okay.
I rent, and I'm actually getting ready to move across the country here once I get this whole estate thing dealt with.
Oh, wow. Okay, perfect. So I would wait probably a year in your new city, wherever you're moving, before you settle down. But you could also use some of that as for a house, whether a down payment or not.
And Sam, so as you cycle through this, was your father's passing, did y'all know it was coming? Was it out of the blue?
It was relatively out of the blue. He was in kind of declining health. He wasn't a big fan of doctors and making sure to keep up on his health. And so it wasn't completely unexpected, but the timing of it really, really was. I had just seen him like 4 days beforehand and had no idea.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're going to experience this grief with him being your dad, with him being your second parent. This is going to come in waves and in stages, okay? And so you're going to wrestle with this. You're running on adrenaline right now. And over the next few months, I love this rule in Ohio. I recommend nobody make any major decisions with this type of inheritance for 3 to 6 months to a year. Once you get that check, you're going to have a whole other wave of grief. There's going to be some finality to it, so make sure you got people in your life. And then do what's going to honor your parents with this money, right? Is that going to be a home that you pay for in cash? Is that going to be setting yourself up down the road so that you are completely taken care of? What is the thing that's going to best honor your parents? Take your time. You're in no rush. Dr. John Deloney, joined here with my good friend and best-selling author Rachel Cruz, and we are taking your calls on life and money. Give us a shout at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Let's go to Paula in Santa Barbara, California. Paula, what's going on?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling in. What's going on? How can we help?
Well, I wanted to see if buying property with my sister and my parents made, or a land basically, makes any sense. My parents live with me, and they have just a little bit of savings, and so they have like about $100,000, and then my sister has about that same amount, and then I would have to sell my house in order to come up with that same amount of money. And I have no other debt besides my mortgage. And so, we've kind of considered finding land where we can build, and but I don't know if it makes any financial sense. I mean, I know building is pretty expensive.
Are y'all gonna? So you're talking about pooling all of your money to buy some land. You're gonna make it like a little family commune.
Basically, yes.
Will you own your own individual portion of it, Paula, or are you guys going to just own the whole land together?
Well, we just talked about it, so we don't know what the right way would. I mean, if there's any way that we can actually make it work, we know that it has to be clear from the start so that we don't have any issues in the future, which basically I think would mean dividing the land so that it's already divided on the get-go, I think.
So what's driving this? Why do you guys want to do this?
Well, basically my parents. The fact that, they don't have a place to work, to retire. And my sister doesn't own a home. She rents where she lives. And then, so I'm like the only one that has, that owns a home. And so it just seems like it could be the best way so that we can all have something.
Do you want to do this, Paula?
Yeah, I mean, because, I have 4 kids and we have a 3-bedroom home. So I'm hoping that we can, build a bigger house where, maybe 4 rooms where my kids can actually have a room. And then it just seems like it could be, where we could actually have some farm animals and stuff. So
do you have the money to go build a 4-bedroom house, Paula?
No, we don't. We just have the money to buy the land, basically.
Yeah. Well, from just the numbers you've given and where you're at, I don't feel financially you're not there to a part that I would feel good advising you to say, hey, go and do this step right now. Santa Barbara, you're in an expensive area, and your sister's life and everything is not your responsibility. John can speak more into this.
Right.
Your parents, I know we all respect and honor our parents and love our parents and want to take care of them. But there is something to be said too, Paula, that you have to make sure that you're in a good spot and that you and your kids are okay. And for you, that would mean being completely debt-free, having some money in the bank for an emergency fund, and working on those basics is going to be the best bet. Even though the house is cramped, I know it's stressful, it's exhausting, all of that. But I think you're going to put yourself in a worse financial position if you move forward, considering you own a home. You don't have the money to build one. You're going to have to sell your current home to buy the land with your sister who doesn't have the money. Or she does, but she's renting. And, all of it. It's does not sound like the best case scenario.
It sounds like one of those ideas that got floated at dinner and sounded like, oh, this could be a solution. It's not a solution because nobody can afford to do this. Your sister living in an apartment can't afford to pitch in and buy property and build a home on this thing, right? It's a fantasy. It sounds so cool. And I love chickens. I love goats and horses, whatever you want to put on your land. It sounds so fun. This is going to turn into a nightmare. A secondary part of this question, and Rachel, you alluded to this. Man, when you split land with your family members, we're just going to all put it in a big pot. It's just going to be ours forever, right? Somebody gets married, and that husband always wants his other friend's brother-in-law to come hunt on that land, or hey, he's just going to leave his dogs out here. It just gets messier and messier.
Or they move and want to loot, and they need that money.
So yeah, I need you to buy me both out. Both of you need to buy me out, and we can't afford to, and so I'm going to rent it. Right? It turns into a mess. And so, love your family. If you all want to go in on a plot together, great. But everybody's got to have it deeded up, so where I own this piece, you own that piece, and you own that piece. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for a mess. Yeah, and if you can afford it.
And this is like the classic example of a home. It should be a blessing, not a curse. And this is a situation that it's going to end up being a curse down the road. It's going to be hard.
And bless you, Paula. Your heart is so big. We can feel it here in Nashville. You got 4 kids, a small home. Your house is mayhem right now, and you're thinking, well, I guess I could just figure this out. Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. That's not a good idea. I love your heart. I love your family's heart. This isn't a good idea. You'll have to come up with something else. Sorry to be the bad guys here today. I'm not sorry. I am. I'm just a softie. All right, let's go to Will in Oxford, Mississippi. What's up, brother Will? How can we help?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man.
I was just calling. I'm 22 years old. I'm a senior in college now. I'll be graduating in December. And I'm currently a manager at a retail store. I'm making around $30,000 a year. And I've gotten out about $15,000 in, like, college loans. And now I'm just paying on college, like, as I go. And I've kind of read Dave's book, The Money Makeover Plan, and I've saved about $7,000 for, like, an emergency fund. So I guess my question is, what should I do next?
I would hold tight, Will, with that $7,000, and I would pay. Do you have the money to pay for fall's tuition because you're going to be graduating in December?
That's kind of what I'm trying to wonder. Should I save for that now?
Yes.
And like just save up enough for the next tuition year?
Exactly. Yes. So you're going to be working your way through.
That's what I've been doing.
Then that's great. And even, Will, even if you have next month's tuition and you still have that $7,000, I would say pause. Just pause everything. While you're in school, you're doing great. You're working and you're saving. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to be doing, because the best investment right now is in Will. So making sure you graduate debt-free is your number one goal. And then once you graduate, then you can be using that money you saved up in college to do things like pay off any other debt that you have, save up that emergency fund, start investing, like doing that. But while you're in school, you just save and make sure you can pay cash to go through school.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of college kids that are thinking, how can I be getting the most out of this money? But
yeah,
Rachel's
you're
right.
Great. Well, I mean, but an amazing question, and well done to you, because most people average has $36,000 in student loan debt, and they're just going to be taking out more debt for next semester, but you're working your way through it. You're doing an amazing job.
Good for you. All right, Rachel, we're going to hit this one more time. Trying to find the perfect Valentine's gift. It is Thursday, and Valentine's is tomorrow. I'm sorry.
It's not.
No, it's this weekend. I just screwed that up. It's coming, but we've got it for you.
Sheila,
I'm telling you what.
John's wife, I got you, girl.
Man. All right, consider this your friendly reminder. In order to make real progress with your money, you got to be on the same page as your spouse, which clearly I am. You need to work together to create a budget and a plan that will help you reach your goals. To help you get on the same page, we gathered up all of our best-selling books, budgeting tools, and bundles for couples, and all in one big sale, so you can save up to 83% on the gifts that will help you reach your financial goals. Folks, this is the last week for the sale. Plus, you don't want to miss the Big Money in Marriage live stream event. That's tomorrow with me and Rachel Cruz. We're going to have so much fun. I can't even wait. Visit us at daveramsey.com/store to get your live stream tickets, your Valentine's Day gifts that will help you build a bright future for your spouse. Hurry! This sale ends on the real Valentine's Day, February 14th, but the live event is tomorrow. Go get your tickets, daveramsey.com. I tell you what, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome.
Today's scripture is from Proverbs 16:16. It reads, "How much better to get wisdom than gold? To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver." Sheryl Sandberg says, "The ability to learn is the most important quality a leader can have." I like that. The ability to learn is the most important quality a leader can have. Rachel, how often do people get to the top of wherever they think they're going? They get a leadership role, then they call it good, right?
Oh, yeah. But you know what it takes for that is humility. To say, hey, I don't have it all. Like, I need to learn. Right?
Yeah, we've got all these.
That's the best leaders out there.
It is, but it's also the best husbands and the best wives
That's right.
and the best teachers and the best professors and the best
Moms,
plumbers.
dads.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's when I get my plumber license, I'm done learning now. No, man, that just means you've crossed a line on this journey that's the rest of your life, right? Or we spend so much energy getting to the wedding. It's like, man, that's just the start. You haven't even started playing yet, right? You both got a lot to learn, right? I love that quote. The ability to learn is the most important quality a leader can have. That's awesome.
Continuing to learn.
All right, let's go to Jonathan in Rochester, New York. Jonathan, what's going on, man?
Yes, how are you guys doing today?
Outstanding. What's up?
Great. So I got a question. So I graduated from college in May of 2019. I've been working since, and ever since I was like 16, I've been giving money to my advisor and just straight mutual funds. So I got quite a bit saved up there. I got about $160,000.
Nice.
You had a mutual fund when you were 16?
Yeah, I started. My parents had an advisor, and I started going to him, and I just have listened to him since I was a little kid because I figured, hell, he's 20 years ahead of me, and I just said, you know what? If he was in my position, what would he want me to do? And I've just always listened to him.
Make sure you hug your parents every time you see them, okay? For real.
And then, so I still live at home, and my mom just kind of told me that kind of a good blessing. They said that they want to give me $200,000 to put towards a home.
Is that their buyout? Is that their nice way of saying, dude, you got to go?
Yeah, get out of the house, right? So my question now, obviously the housing market's a little hot right now. So do I sell some of the mutual fund and completely pay off the house, right? I can probably get a really nice house here that I would really be happy in for about $300,000. Do I sell some of the mutual fund to just be totally debt-free or house-free like that? Or do I keep some invested with a $100,000 mortgage, which I could comfortably afford to pay? I don't know what you guys would recommend.
Jonathan, any of the mutual funds, they're not retirement based, right? It's not a Roth or an IRA
or
anything.
No, it's straight up brokerage fund.
Yes.
Straight up brokerage fund. I don't have any IRAs, 401ks, or anything like that. All of my money has been just in a straight brokerage fund since I've been a kid.
So if you were to buy a $200,000 house, what would that look like?
It wouldn't. I would have to put some money into fixing it. Honest to God, I've been looking for a little.
No, it's fair.
I would need to spend about $300 to be something that I would be. And if I do that, I mean, some of my buddies, they're all roughly graduating now too. I graduated college in 3 years, so I'm a year ahead of a lot of my friends, and a lot of them were saying they would move in. So I mean, I wouldn't be covering the mortgage by myself. That's what I'm trying. That's why I kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And how much income? And how much income do you have? How much do you make a year?
About $115 to $120.
Okay. So honestly, if I were you, Jonathan, I mean, either way, there's probably not a right or wrong because you technically have the cash just to go ahead and cash out the mutual funds, buy the house outright, and then you have the time. Exactly. You have the time to invest because of how young you are. So to catch up on any kind of compound interest, you're going to be able to do that very, very quickly. So there's something I love about the idea of having a paid-for home, Jonathan.
At 22?
At 22 years
Come
old.
on, man.
And then you have the rest of your life to invest. That's almost where I would go. But knowing you have an emergency fund and you do have some savings in the bank.
I have emergency. Oh yeah, I do. And that's why the only reason it was great is because you can get a rate for 2.5-3% right now, and I know a typical mutual fund will get me significantly more. I know.
Yes, yes, totally. So the math. So if you chose, so we say that a mortgage is the one type of debt I won't yell at you for. And so, if you put down $200, have a $100,000 mortgage and have the goal to pay it off in 18 months and then you have the mutual fund there, all of that. It's just kind of like which way you want the money to be, if that makes sense. So there's something I kind of love about the no risk, no debts. It's just fun for me. I mean, obviously we're Ramsey, so we're going to kind of push the I love the no debt. I love the no debt idea.
Right.
Because of how young you are and how much time you have left to invest.
And Jonathan, I moved to Nashville a few years ago, and I didn't have a mortgage until recently. And I can tell you, at this stage of life, I got 2 kids, I'm married. Dude, I'm with Rachel. I would go into being my 23rd birthday owing nobody anything with a $300,000 paid for house. And the rest, I get the math, and you wouldn't be where you are if you weren't really smart and really savvy. The challenge for you is to understand the wisdom of the psychology of this, not the math part. You've got the math part, and you're going to look at the ROI on the interest rate versus this, and I can cover the gap there. I'm telling you right now, there's something to being completely debt-free, owning your own home. And there's a psychology to it, man. That's where I'd lean.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks,
I know
Jonathan.
it's the wrong way. Congratulations, man. You were way ahead of the game, brother.
Amazing.
All right, let's go to Jacob in Seattle, Washington. Jacob, what's going on?
I just got engaged with my girlfriend, and we are in the first stages of looking at what to plan for budget for a wedding. And
Congratulations,
man. If there's any kind of guidelines or anything. Thank you.
Oh, man, you are talking to 2 people who probably did this very differently.
Number one, Jacob, where are you guys financially? Are you bringing debt in the marriage? You have any savings? You have cash? Who's paying for the wedding? Give me a little background.
So I am currently in baby step 3, and I have just been lazy in terms of putting my money forward to getting through my baby step 3. So I've got about $3,000 out of my 3 to 6 months. That's about 1.5 months right now for me. And then she has a $10,000 car debt, and that's it for her.
Okay, that's awesome.
She makes about $35,000 a year, and I'm about $55,000 a year.
Okay, and who's responsible for paying for the wedding?
It's going to be solely on us. My parents have shown interest in wanting to help, but I don't know what they're actually going to be able to contribute, and I'm not really expecting anything.
Okay, so we're in February. When are you guys getting married?
We're waiting. We're thinking about maybe waiting until COVID is over, but I mean that's kind of why we're asking about the budgeting and the money version of it, so we can kind of think where we need to be in terms of how much time we have to save up and what you guys recommend for that. So we don't have a date or anything set.
Okay. Well, I never give a specific dollar amount by any means or even a percentage. So I would say for you guys, what you can pause right now, and if you just saved as much as possible for the next 9 months, whatever that would be.
Okay.
And have that amount of cash there to say, okay, we have the ability to spend all of this on a wedding, or we can spend half of this money on a wedding. We can take the other half and put it towards the $10,000 car loan after we get married and pay off debt and be in a better place financially, all of that. So the thing with weddings is you can go real expensive. You can go real cheap. We had friends that got married during COVID on Zoom. They literally were like, you know what, we're just gonna get a pastor, and they texted us like, get on at 6 p.m. We're just gonna get married. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but part of me was like, I kind of love that. Like, that's
yes,
amazing.
that sounds
amazing.
incredible.
So just don't go crazy. Pay cash, number one, and what you guys can save towards the wedding. Have that amount of money, because you can emotionally get attached to some of that cash to say, let's not spend it all. And just don't be emotional about your decisions.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid to get married in a smaller ceremony. And a year from now, 2 years from now, when all the smoke is hopefully clearing on all this, you can have the party of a lifetime.
Yeah, don't wait on COVID,
with cash.
Jacob.
You know what I mean?
If you love her, just get married. Just do it. And then it's the year of 2020, 2021. You'll look back and tell your grandkids,
That's right.
There's a pandemic, and then 2 years later,
I had the party of a century that we paid for in cash.
And it was awesome.
So, you know what? We're going to talk about weddings. You got saved by the bell on that one, Rachel. You got saved by the bell.
Maybe tomorrow, John.
I want to thank producer James Childs and associate producer Kelly Daniel. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Join us tomorrow night on the live stream Money and Marriage. Go to DaveRamsey.com to get your tickets. We hope to see you there. It's going to be a blast. Be kind to one another. Tell everybody that you know that you love them. And we'll talk to you soon. This is The Ramsey Show.